Good morning everyone, and welcome to Bairnsdale West Primary School's Reconciliation Day 2021. The theme for this year's Reconciliation Day is more than a word, reconciliation takes action. 24 months ago we were here with a packed audience, a packed hall, with about 700 people in here. Last year we were here with a very minimal crowd. I think it might have been about 25 or 30, with a massive online audience as well. And this year we've got some more people in here, but we are expecting a big online audience as well. So welcome to everyone here, but also welcome to our online viewers as well. Shortly you'll hear from our Principal Doug Vickers. Just prior to this though, I'd like to introduce Auntie Dottie, and she'll be accompanied by grade 6 student Isaac Brown.
Womaninji, please welcome in my language. I'd like to pay my respects to my elders, past, present, and everyone here today. Thank you. Our theme this year is more than a word, reconciliation takes action. I'd like to begin my speech. When I began here at Bairnsdale West back in 1998, there wasn't a lot of Koori students at our school. Over the past 23 years, I have seen the numbers of students grow along with support and programs. I began my journey as a school services officer, then went away to do another role. However, I returned to Bairnsdale West in my current role as a CESO. Through consultation between community and the Education Department, the strong voice of community has been heard and action was taken to implement new programs. Throughout my role as a CESO, I have worked very closely with Auntie Doris Patton, following on culture, history and language through sites on the Babalak Culture Trail. I have also been part of Bairnsdale West community as a parent when my two sons were students here, and now as a grandparent. Because Bairnsdale West is the leading school in the area, forging the way in educating our children and their families. I've been able to play a large part in keeping our culture alive and strong. My hopes and dreams for the future are that our culture and language continue to be taught and more activities continue on country. Connection to country is the most traditional way of educating our future elders to give them a sense of pride and belonging, building strength and resilience within themselves. In closing, I would like to congratulate and thank my niece Veronica for coming today, but we will see a video of her to share her story and ours. I would like to thank Doug, a special person who has helped me and my family. Also, I would like to thank the staff at Bairnsdale West and encourage to work together with our community to understand and grow together, recognising my strengths as a strong, proud Kamakernai woman. Thank you. I'd like to introduce young Isaac Brown, who's going to be doing some speaking.
Womaninji. start, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land we are meeting on today, the land of the Gunai Kurnai people, and pay my respects to all elders, past, present, and emerging, and all people, in particular the Aboriginal people in the room today. My name is Isaac Brown, and I have been at Benzel West since prep. I appreciate Benzel West because it is such a caring and respectful place. I have grown so much by coming to this school. I am a proud Koori boy and I love my culture. My family is a mix of 5 tribes located throughout Victoria. These are the Gunai Kurnai, Gundik Chamara, Tunero, Tati Tati, and Bidwa. I live with my mum and dad, and I have 1 brother and 2 sisters who all completed primary school at Benzel West. My sisters are going well at Seko, and my brother is in year 11 at Geelong Grammar. My dad and mum teach me to respect everyone and treat people how I would like to be treated. My dad takes me out and trains me to be fit. He trains me in basketball, footy, and running. Both my parents encourage me to be successful in everything that I do, whether that's through school or sports. My great-grandmother, Eileen Baxter, along with many others, was a founding member of GJAC, in which my mother, Sarah, manages a medical centre and looks after the health and well-being of my community. I am also a member of the Riviera Christian Centre, which helps me to think about being a positive community member. Reconciliation is very important to me as it recognises the First Nations people of this land, our experiences, past injustice, and the ongoing inequalities we experience since colonisation. Reconciliation is about accepting and understanding the wrongs of the past and the impact on all Aboriginal people today. Reconciliation has no meaning if it is not aimed at achieving equality in life, education, and employment. Many Aboriginal people experience differences in health, education, employment, and standards of living compared to non-Aboriginal Australians. We cannot think of Australia as reconciled when some continue to experience racism. Today, I want to thank you for all attending this assembly. It's important to all come together as one and celebrate all the achievements of First Nations people today. Without you here, we cannot be reconciled. As Martin Luther King would say, it's not possible to be in favour of justice for some people and not be in favour of all for all people. Today you will hear from many good people. I hope you have the confidence to take action like I have. By being active, you will all help us to be better. Garabi.
Thank you, and I would suggest a very proud mother and 2 sisters, and many proud staff for those lovely words, Isaac, and also thanks to you, Auntie Dottie. So I would like to show your appreciation again of those 2 people. Well done. I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of this land, the Gunai Kurnai people, and I selectively use the word custodian because to me it reinforces a link and appreciation of the land and history rather than ownership. I repay my respects to the elders, past, present and future, for they hold the history, the hardship and the hopes of Indigenous Australia. And those journeys and memories are important for all of us to understand and respect so that the future is better for all of us. So we're here at Westy Set a little bit, semi-online again and semi with a few people here. And I would like to thank all you people for coming. And usually is customary that we have that section where we have apologies. Apologies is a funny thing, really. I reckon a lot of people send apologies and they mean it because they're sorry that they can't come. And we had those words from Ian Burridge, the new Regional Director, Mandy Uri, our Mayor, Dr Jane Gresham, who's on the Shire, and Shane Howard, the great singer, an inspiration to us and a great supporter of Bairnsdale West Primary School. We also had apologies from Orbost Secondary, Nico, Wild Cherry, Toolamar Primary, Nungurna Primary, and also Gemma Radford and some people from St Mary's. Other people, they say it's an apology, but they don't want to come. So we're not going to mention them, because sometimes it's a false world that we're an apology. And I think in this space of Aboriginal people, there's been a lot of apologies and been meaningless, so I'm not going to give meaning to other people who didn't want to come either. Some people who aren't here did want to come, but others didn't. So we've got a reduced group here, and I'd like to thank you for your support and your encouragement for us. We have Mark Copley, School Council President, a long time ago and still a supporter of our school, and we have other school councillors here. And being a community in this space, School Council is a very important group to support us and encourage us to keep going. So thanks to all school councillors, current and past, for what you've done, and future, because there'll be probably some future people sitting in the room too. So, planning for today, sit around, what are we going to do for today? Because today isn't what it's about. It's daily is the real one, is what our story is. So today is not our story, it's the daily story. Our story is ongoing, our story has many components, and hence our sharing today. What you're going to see today is Doris and Dottie got together with us and they said we should share the Bairnsdale West story. What is the story of Bairnsdale West? In more than a word, reconciliation takes action. So that's what you'll enjoy today, and you'll be able to be part of seeing the reflections by staff, students and community. And this room is filled with a lot of input and a lot of reflections from community members over there. I said to Nancy Hood when she came in, a pity she didn't have that wind shooter on when she had the photo with the boys. And anyway, she's looking a lot better today. So thanks to everybody who have contributed, staff, community and everybody who shared, which you'll be all enjoying later. And I think it also highlights that we are in this together. My special thanks to two key ladies for us, Dr. Doris and Auntie Dottie. In our chat the other day, we had a chat online with Doris and we were talking and there was a group of us there. And I shared it with Shane Howard, that Dottie was described as our rock. So Shane Howard's happy to sing a song to you called Solid Rock, Dottie, so we can actually, we'll play that later. So thank you, Dottie. Thanks to the foster girls, ex-students from here. Spoke to them one day and said, look, we've got reconciliation coming up. Would you like to speak or say a few words? Like twins do, they looked at one another and in about 3 seconds nodded their head and said, yep. So we're pleased that they're here to share some reflections. Also great that Veronica Gorry, Dottie's niece, is happy to join us. Author of Black and Blue, a book which we was going to have if she was here, but I'll encourage you people to go and buy it anyway. So just briefly before we go to the other people, I stand here today, and I've been here for a number of these, and I stand here with mixed emotions. Emotions of pride, disappointed, sad, frustrated, and then motivated again. Because I'm proud of our school community for welcoming and joining in this space. I'm really proud of the knowledge of our kids and staff. I'm proud of the staff for their ongoing learning and care. I'm proud that Dr. Doris wants to be here to help us. I'm proud that Dottie, who we might know Dottie's a bit crook, and that she wants to be part of this, and she's comfortable and she's brave in this space for us. I'm proud that our parents and carers choose us, Bairstow West, because we believe in the actions and not just words. I'm proud that there's daily trust, dialogue, talking and friendships between people. My other emotions are, I'm sad and I'm disappointed that so many don't know or want to know the real history of Australia. Because without that knowledge, how can people seek to understand the lens of Aboriginal Koori people without the real history? So, if it has to be told and it has to be learnt, and it has to be taught in schools, it is the responsibility of schools. Because if schools don't do it, where do tradies, where do accountants, where do farmers, where do lawyers get that information from? It can't just be held in a school. The community all needs to know, and I'm very proud and pleased, as I said before, that our kids will know it, and know it. And we've had a lot of feedback from families to say that their kids know a lot more than they did. We have to know about colonisation. We have to know about massacres. We have to know about racism, stolen generation, and we have to know about ongoing racism. That's sad. Just recently, Adam Goodes knocks back Hall of Fame, and it's like as if he's bad for knocking it back. Racist. Nothing else. I've been asked, would I like to be part of some groups? And I say no. Nobody bags me. I just think I've got the right to make that decision. Adam Goodes has stood up for too many people. It's sad and disappointing that leaders in all levels of government don't take a lead in this space. Our community leaders, bureaucracy, departments in education don't show leadership with expectation. Anybody who's been involved in education for any amount of time will say that there has been Aboriginal perspectives in education and in the curriculum for a long time. There has been. But if it's not based on real history, what sort of perspective is it? It's not a real one. In this space, it is an emotional space. You have to get your heads and your heart connected. And I think that's one of the reasons why we have some success here and relationships are positive. Just a recollection, we had a staff meeting a few weeks ago, and part of that was, so for people it might be a good idea if you want to listen to it, Shadows on the Hill by Troy Cassar-Daley. And it played. And I looked around the room and there was sorrow, understanding, thoughts in the room which was clear. People had their emotions in the place as well as just factual understanding. It is an emotional place. When it's emotional, It's not tokenism. We see in this space so often that there's tokenism, which is just symbolic stuff that means nothing. Because really, symbolic behaviour is what your culture is about. So if it's based on perception and tokenism, it doesn't speak well for your organisation. We want action, so that history is known, so that racism in all forms is called out, that Australia Day is a unity day. It's a disgrace that we're still debating whether it's the right day. It shouldn't be a debate. It's wrong. Aboriginal and Koori voices need to be heard and respected. Whether that's Uluru Statement Treaty, let those people guide us so that we are all better together. We all have to be active in this space. It's not, we talked about the tokenism already a minute ago. Many people, many departments and organisations will go to a cultural awareness activity. So they get a little sticker, they get a colourful shirt, and they get a badge, and they walk around and say, now I'm on this journey. This motto this year tells them they're not. More than a word, reconciliation takes action. Not just going to the session, actually doing something about it in your life to make the lives of others better. Finally, Doris said to us that in our chats we were talking the other day, and she said if people don't get involved, it's going on all around them like a whirlwind. Get involved and let's make sure the whirlwind continues, but you're part of it. Sometimes I like footy analogies. When I was at Richmond Footy Club, Yabby Jeans, the late Yabby Jeans was a well-known and very successful coach. We're talking about people playing from behind. And he said, if players play from behind, they're either stupid or frightened. He had a funny voice, I won't try and take him off. But he said, I don't think you want to be known as either. You don't want to be known as stupid or frightened. If you take non-action in this place, you must be either stupid or frightened. Don't be frightened. It's a place where we all can be better together, and it's important that we all act. Not tomorrow, today. And not just today, but tomorrow and every day, because it's up to white fellas to make sure reconciliation is effective. Koori people have been very patient and supportive and have been helpful to us all. Let's make sure that their patience doesn't run out. We have to be active now. Thank you. In this space, and Megan might talk about it at the end, that Doris and Dottie telling us that we should share the story. And with that, a large number of staff and some school counsellors, parents, students have been interviewed, and we formed some reflections or some videos here. Being in a couple of those, I wasn't in all of them, but it was certainly meaningful for people to have to articulate thoughts in this space. It was meaningful and it was real for the staff and the students and parents too. So I would like you to enjoy it, but also be in the space to listen to what they're saying and try to understand it to help your understandings. Thank you.
Reconciliation to me is about being on a journey where I'm learning more about the history of the first people of Australia so that I can understand the plight of the first Australian people of today due to the terrible things that have happened to them in the past.
Now, because we're part of a community where that, like, Aboriginal people and white people, like, we're all, like, you feel like you're one.
Yeah.
When coming here, like, not going to a school or whatever, not really knowing anything about it, and then coming here and learning and listening to other people, you think, oh crap, like, I thought that way, like, that's so bad, like, I can't believe I actually thought that way, or I said those things, or believed what I was hearing. Like, that's because what you know. It's not like, when I think of Australia Day, I don't think of, well, until I worked here, I didn't think of
anything
the
else.
day. I was like, let's just listen to the top 100 and let's have a party. Like, I wonder why they were looking at us. And the girl goes, oh, like, they're probably looking at us because you're with me. And I was like, oh, like, what do you mean? She's like, oh, like, people look at, like, us, like me, like that all the time. And, like, that's one of the things I was like, are you serious?
And
like,
you never want to make someone feel
that way. Like, why everyone should be able to go out and have a coffee down the street.
Then is it also because that's what you were taught, so it's so ingrained into your psyche that you have now believed that? And is it because the uncomfortableness of telling the truth outweighs what you should be doing? A person who came to me afterwards that said, I had no idea about Angus McMillan and I've lived here all my life. Well, that's sad.
We just need to have those fights because we're fighting for the right thing.
Because everybody here is friendly and welcoming, I like to think that the broader community is like that for everybody, and it probably really isn't.
And understanding that a lot of our parents and grandparents haven't had nice experiences at school. Their experience of school and the school system and any government system really were often traumatic, and it's not something you never want to put your kids in a position or put them somewhere where they might be hurt or not appreciated or not feel valued.
Like, the things that were done, as a person, inherently you know that this is a bad thing. But that wasn't a very nice time, and we don't want to own that. We'll own some other parts, but we don't want to own the negative parts.
People, like, even one gentleman said, oh, you live in West Bairnsdale. Oh, you know, there's Indigenous people there. Like, I couldn't believe it. Like, and I honestly don't even know if he meant to be racist. I don't even know if he knew he was being racist. It was just what came out, you know, like, and I just found that shocking.
It wasn't us, it was people before us. I'm a first or a second generation Australian. But until you realise the intergenerational trauma that we have caused and continue to cause on the Aboriginal nations around the country, until there's some truth telling, nothing is going to be able to move forward.
It's our responsibility to understand and to learn. So that's the big thing that's been mulling over in my head. It's not coming together. It's the rest of the population coming to the Indigenous population, the First Nation population, because we have to do so much more understanding and we need so much more knowledge to get things right. You've got to call people out. If your mates are saying the wrong things, you've got to have the courage to say something. If there's an opportunity in the classroom, you've got to take that opportunity in the classroom. If you're talking to a family member, you've got to take that opportunity every time it comes and drag people along with the journey.
To introduce our choir and to thank them, because our choir are going to entertain us a few times throughout the day.
That's the first time you'll hear from our choir today, but not the last. Our Bairnsdale West Choir is led by Beck Corbin, who has been working really closely with these kids to learn some Gunai Kurnai words that are going to match the songs that you'll hear today. So well done to you guys, and keep up the good work. For now though, I'm really pleased to introduce our next speakers. We have a couple of former students with us today to speak. It's been about 3.5 years since they were at our school in grade 6 at Bairnsdale West, but we see them regularly because they still have a brother here who's in grade 6. Please welcome Brianna and Gabrielle Foster.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You may know me, you may not. My name is Brianna Foster. I am a proud Aboriginal girl with connections with the Punjab and Yuin mob. I'm honoured to speak to you this morning. Firstly, I, like many, would like to pay my respects to the elders past and present for their health and memories and the traditions among us this morning. Reconciliation Day may be a hard time for some, but for many it's a great time of realisation. It's a time of celebrating the world we live in, to learn our shared histories and cultures. It's a time of coming together. Now, I was once a student at this school, just like you lot. From experience, I know how assemblies can be quite unpopular, but this is an important one. I want you to remember that knowledge is power. The words of theme, more than words. Reconciliation takes action means to me speaking up and sharing who you are and being proud of it. Black, white or other, doesn't matter. The thing that does matter is the size of your heart and the strength of your character. To me, primary school was one of the greatest highlights of my life. At this age, you start to recognise the different people in this world, learn their backgrounds and respect them for it. They may be different to you, but that's the beauty of it. Bairnsdale West is kind of like a second family to me. We stick together and go through all the hard times together. If you don't learn something from home, you learn it from here. West teaches you about the respect and honesty you should have for one another. Be kind to yourself and be happy for others. Appreciate what you have. Don't take for granted just how much you can learn and how much insight it gives you. But most importantly, just be you and stay proud of you. Remember, you were meant to be who you are. That makes you unique and that makes you rare. This was a short talk, but I hope you felt it in some way. As an ex-primary school student, I'm always wondering what current students are learning about, whether it be like in the health department, mathematics, history, etc. I've spoken to other students from other schools, and in their time of being at school, they've never really learned or heard about the history of the people of this land, and even like what reconciliation means. My family is on a journey to find out more about the family history. We've never really got to meet our ancestors, so we never really had the chance to talk and ask questions. Back when I was in grade 6 at this school, I was asked to speak as a leader of the school and write from my understanding of my history and what reconciliation means to me. I had a fair understanding of what it meant, and I was keen to work on this speech. Megan listened, a teacher at West, sat with me to get this speech perfect. She helped me research and find information that helped my family and I gain a much clearer understanding of our family history. I'm a proud Aboriginal woman with connections with the Pitjantjatjara and Yuin mob. My great-grandmother Nessie Scooter fought so hard to keep her and her family safe and together. She fought for Indigenous rights and a better deal for Aboriginal Victorians, especially in Gippsland. She was armed with drive and initiative. She achieved change for her community in health, education and housing. Many Aboriginal leaders in Victoria today express their admiration for Nessie. She is well known locally for her craft work and was a popular member of the Bairnsdale and Gippsland community. No one to accept disadvantage or injustice, Nessie faced challenges head on, the result being stronger, healthier communities and a role model to inspire future generations. Through all this research Megan and I did, my family and I have come such a long way with the understanding of our mobs and elders. As I said earlier, although there is very little talk on reconciliation and other schools, Bairnsdale West Primary provides so much support and help build students' knowledge and pride in their cultural heritage and they want to take action to give their students the best experience they can on educating them with Indigenous history and stories. Both Brown and I feel honoured to be able to speak at this assembly today, and I thank you all for listening.
All it does, it's like literally 1 hour or 2 hours of your day, and you hear it and it stays with you. Like any of our PD days or any of the learning we've done about it, like watching videos, listening to people talk, it's like 10 minutes of your day, and then it makes you stop and think oh, I actually didn't know that. It happens to people around you, like people in your hometown, everywhere, and you don't even realise it because you just brought up in this like
makes
little
you think
box.
about yourself too.
I think the school needs to continue to have that partnership with the people that we work with already, and such as Doris and also Glowak as well. Having those two connections, they've helped us a lot over the years, and maintaining those partnerships will be really important. So whatever it is that we've done here at school, it's been done with a high level of commitment. So it's like it's not tokenistic. So everything that's been done has been to gain a deeper level of understanding and been done with a meaningful purpose as well.
Over the last 15 plus years, we've learned more and more as a staff and as a school about culture, about the importance of family, about true history, about trauma and the impacts of trauma and generational trauma. And I think that's just strengthened each year, and the stronger our knowledge as a staff become, the stronger our teaching becomes. And so our last big professional development day, which was on country, was really powerful.
There were the massacres, there was the stolen generation, there were all of these terrible things, and acknowledging it and being able to teach people about it is just a big shift for me. And I still find, myself feeling confronted, because I guess it's still new learning for me as much as it is for the kids. But I think in general, we're really good at inviting the community to talk and share their stories. We're always trying to learn more.
Later in life, since spending more time here at West, I've actually really broadened my understandings. And
the ones that I've liked the most have been the recognition of the elders or the important Indigenous figures around locally. Like a few years ago, we had all the important women, especially for the Gunai Kurnai, which was really good to recognise them. I think just knowing how close, like living out of Merlu, I did not know that there was the Ramayak was so close, and knowing that it's literally a 5-minute drive from a place that I didn't think had much Indigenous significance around me at all.
I would like to thank Arnie Dottie Moffat, who has been a huge part of our journey for a long period of time at Bairnsdale West. Arnie Dottie has been amazing in supporting our understanding, supporting our relationships, building our understanding of truth-telling. Her care at West has been amazing. In a shorter period of time, we've had Auntie Doris involved in our school, and I'd like to thank her as well. She's been a huge facilitator in Bairnsdale West's journey in our understanding of the true history, the culture of our Gunai Kurnai people, our understanding of on country, our understanding of Gunai Kurnai language, and Auntie Doris challenges West and has really helped us to continue our action and to further our journey at West.
So I was probably fairly ignorant. I was definitely ignorant about our history. I certainly didn't know the true history. I probably didn't search for it either. But coming to West, it was something that was ingrained in the community, in the culture of this school.
Because I wanted to know more about what did happen, because I just assumed, well, I was told at school we came here on boats and there were Aboriginals here and this is the land now. So I did start Googling, particularly in like the Gippsland area, who Angus McMillan was and what impact he had, because like street signs and stuff, I drive past streets and I just think it's a street name. I don't think it has any significance. But then once you start to realise the history, you realise the significance of just the small things that I just thought was just normal everyday stuff.
I'm still learning too, but I'm really enjoying the journey with the kids.
When Ronald Edwards Pepper came in and he spoke about his beautiful mural that he displayed in our art room, the way he was able to share his story through those images felt really, it was quite moving, the way he was able to express himself and show through painting, and the way he was able to explain all the symbols that he used was really lovely to get that, have that knowledge.
Understanding about reconciliation and just understanding of our Indigenous culture, learning the truth of what's really happened, and then feeling confident to teach that to our kids.
So it's been beautiful to be on bushwalks with them and them teaching my parents the traditional names of animals and things when we've been walking, and my parents' heartbreak that they have no knowledge of this, but then the pride that they had that their granddaughters were teaching them.
Researching and then bringing it back and finding ways that we can integrate it in all areas, like not just around reconciliation time, but like in performing arts or reading, writing, whatever it is, how we can practice it every day.
And we want our school community to know it's important.
Thanks to those guest speakers. Well done to the twins, Gabby and Brianna. Like your family, we're really proud of the people that you've become and are becoming. Well done on your speech today. Give them another round of applause. We're about to play another video. It's a video message from a really special speaker. She's a relative of Arnie Dottie's. And she's an author as well. She's recently produced the book called Black and Blue, detailing the impact of discrimination against her family and the impact that that's had on her life. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll see a video now from Veronica Gorry.
Woman Jindi Nekdal Makta Auntie Ronnie Gorry. Happy Reconciliation Week, Bairnsdale West. I know that you're celebrating this Reconciliation Week later than usual due to COVID restrictions and school closing down, but you kids are all safe and that's the main thing. I've heard all about you and all the amazing things you do at your school through Annie Dot. And some of you little Koori kids will know who I am, Gerald, Natalia and AJ. I grew up in a town not so far away from you in Morwell, but unlike you, I never had any white friends. And Reconciliation Week is not just a week where white people embrace Aboriginal culture. It's every day. I also know that here at Bairnsdale West, you are all friends of each other, and no matter the colour of your skin, and that's reconciliation. So although it's Reconciliation Week, you kids are doing it every day. And that to me is so amazing, and you're all amazing. I wrote a book and have written a play, and this play is, there is a lot of Gunai Kurnai language, which is my language. That will be on the biggest stage for the Melbourne Theatre. And as a little Aboriginal kid, I never ever thought that this would ever happen to me. I also used to be a police officer, so I can tell you to dream big and work hard, and when you get older you can be whatever you want to be in life. Trust me, because I was that little Aboriginal kid in primary school once too. I also want to say that at Bairnsdale West you have the best principal, because I know him and I know you have the most amazing teachers there at Bairnsdale West. Your teachers allow you to embrace the Aboriginal culture and our heritage every single day, so for that I thank all your teachers. Yarrabee. See you later, Bairnsdale West.
When the white people came, like, say, you wouldn't have privileges like the Aboriginal people did, because they couldn't really do anything. They couldn't vote, they couldn't, go, places like the movies, the pools, or anything like that. They just couldn't have anything. They couldn't speak their language, or they couldn't, play their native instruments.
One of the big things was the referendum.
Yeah.
It was where people were started to protest about, so then Aboriginals could vote, because they weren't allowed to vote at all.
Yeah.
So basically they weren't in any of the politics, or they didn't have their rights for really anything at all. I feel a bit sad because I don't know how anyone could think to even do that, or think about being that rude to people that actually are probably more important than the people that came. It might be a little bit sad for some people because they might not like talking about it, because they might have been in the stolen generation, or someone that was really close to them might have something bad has happened to them. Because
Aboriginals was here before white people, and the white people took our land away, made them sad and upset and pretty angry.
I think it's a day where we have to think about the Aboriginals and how this was their land first, but the white people came and just kind of took over their land. It stopped them from having any fun and doing the stuff that they would usually do. The Aboriginal language, there's not much of it anymore because the white people got their language over the world's this country, so everyone started speaking English, even though the Aboriginals could still talk their language. They started talking English.
To me, reconciliation means that we have to learn from the mistakes our ancestors made so that we know what not to do, and that we can learn from those and we know what to do better and know how to reconcile or make it up with the Koori people. I think one of the main ones that, to me, is the biggest mistake is probably the stolen generation, because to me it's just not right that you steal a child from their family when they haven't done anything wrong just because of the colour of their skin. Also, calling it terra nullius when it, calling it empty land when it actually wasn't, when there were people here that have been here for over 65,000 years. And just the wars and the slavery was just terrible. So many mistakes. I've learned that when the white people did come, they got rid of the traditions and the languages of all the Aboriginal people. And I've learned that about the stolen generation and about the rights that the Aboriginal people didn't have. I've learnt a lot of stuff, and it's really opened my eyes to what really happened. I think it is because, unlike heaps of other schools, we actually teach our students what really happened, whereas some other schools, like when my mum went to school, they were told that Australia wasn't a thing until 1776, and that white people discovered it and that the Aboriginal people didn't exist. So I think we're good because we tell our students the truth of what really happened.
Firstly, thanks to Veronica for her contribution and video message. We look forward to the day where we'll be able to meet her in person here at school, and hopefully she'll be able to come and visit. If anyone's not read her book yet, Black and Blue, in the words of the great Molly Meldrum, do yourself a favour and go and get it. On the subject of authors and books, we have a Reconciliation Day tradition here at Bairnsdale West that we give out a bit of a gift to our visitors. If you my right back corner over there, you'll see a display with lots of different books that have been given out over the years. The idea of doing this is that we feel that the stories that we share can deepen understanding and create conversation in the wider community. This year, we're pleased to add to that list with the book called Daybreak by Amy Maguire. Daybreak is the story of a family making their way back to country on January 26th. It shows the strength they draw from being together and from sharing stories as they move through the shifting landscape. The story refocuses the narrative around Australia Day on Indigenous survival and resistance, and in doing so, honours the past while looking to the future. Confronting yet truthful, painful yet full of hope. Daybreak is a crucial story that will open up a conversation on truth-telling for the next generation. Today we have two grade 6 students who will come up and read the book for you now. Please welcome Nariah Hood and Amy Dowd.
Dad got me up early this morning. It's dark as night, but I can hear the birds waking outside. I'm not a bird, it's too early.
Dad says we have to get on the road. It's January 26th and we're taking Nan back to country.
Yesterday, I came home from school with paint on my fingers. Dad said I was an artist like my Nan. But when I asked him to put my flag on the fridge, he shook his head and he turned away. Maybe I'm not as good an artist as I thought. You are, Nan says. You got it from me.
My teacher says January 26th is when we celebrate the settlement of Australia. She says white men discovered our country. But Dad says we were already here for tens of thousands of years.
My best friend said that she was going to sleep in today. And then her parents were taking her to the beach. They might even get fish and chips.
Can we do that? I ask. This isn't a celebration, Dad says. We'll hold our own ceremony, Nan says. There are statues all across this land, big statues even in small towns. But Dad says there are no statues for our warriors. We don't need statues, Nan says. We'll hold our own memories on country. This is where we remember our heroes.
My teacher says the Australian spirit was born in a foreign war.
But Nan says our spirit was always here, and we're still fighting for this land. If we forget what happened to us, Dad says, we lose a part of who we are. Nan looks out the window at her country. My country. It took me a long time to get back here, she says. We remember those who died when the white people came. We remember how we lost our land.
We remember how Nan was stolen from her family, and we remember how she came back.
Our country sings to us. It brings us home.
The ancestors are still here, on this country. They were here before there was an Australia, and one day, Nan says, she will join them.
And as long as you are here, on this country, you will remember it is our land.
Always was, always will be.
I'm the woman in G.
We do a lot of learning about the Aboriginals because they were the first people here, and we've learned a lot about how the Gunai people speak their language.
I've learned Naju Bao means I'm okay.
Najimority means I'm sick.
I think our school's really lucky to learn the language because I really like the language. Womaninji, I know some of the animal names. I know Jira, I know Gula, Turong, I know heaps.
Good for me because we're bringing back the language with the more people that we're getting to learn the language and bringing it back. Mostly the school, but I've learnt some of it from my parents and my pops.
Because it's an actual Australian language.
Well, I feel proud to be an Aboriginal boy because I like the way that I get treated and the colour of my skin, I like it, and family means a lot to me.
I'm proud to be Aboriginal because the colour of my skin and my family. I call myself, I like calling myself Aboriginal and Gunai Kurnai and Kois a little bit. If your skin is not dark like some people, doesn't mean you're not Aboriginal. I don't want people to be teased because of the colour of the skin. Dad teaches me how to play the didgeridoo and about how to make the sounds and that. So I've learned how to make the kookaburra sound, and I like trying to teach other people how to play. So when they get older, they can pass that on to their kids if they have like boys and that.
My pop been at the assembly before. His name is Grattan, and I see him at his house in Brisbane. Well, he teaches my brother how to play the didgeridoo.
So we know what not to do, so we can respect the Aboriginal people, and so we can really just be more respectful and try and understand what they went through for all these years, still now even. I think everybody is responsible for reconciliation.
Well, I know that Crow people have is like running. They're really good at running, and footy, sports, and maybe even math, spelling, writing, and like anything.
To not just judge people based on their skin colour and just to treat people equally.
Students and teachers don't judge you about your skin colour, and they treat you how you want to be treated.
And I came to this school because Mum knows some of our cousins here. There's a lot of our cousins. I'd like to teach my kids like other things.
Well, it's probably been really handy having Auntie Dottie around because at Reconciliation Assembly she shares a lot of good information that's important.
Yeah, Ronald came in and he showed us some paintings that he did, and we got to do some paintings.
And what was it?
That people will speak up and like tell the real history, and yeah, maybe to treat everyone the same and respect them.
I would tell people, or probably just the next generation of kids and children, like what happened to the Aboriginal people and what the white people did,
so that kids could know about the actual culture and about what happened back then in Dreamtime.
It's not about celebrating. That it's actually like, it's kind of like Anzac Day, where we like listen and not ignore what the people say.
That Auntie Dottie goes up and tells some of the stuff about reconciliation because she helps us get taught about reconciliation.
I will respect the land and elders. My great auntie, Nessie Scooter, created GJAC for Aboriginal people. Well, she created GJAC so that Aboriginal people would have a place to, for the doctor and dentist. Why the stories are important because they tell you about the dream time and about other stuff they could learn about some of the stories back then in the dream time are true. When I go outside at night, I could, because we live next to this scar tree, which has been there for ages. When I go outside, I feel like something's watching me.
And I'm a platypus because my fingers, compared to Talika's, my hands are really flat.
That we all be better together.
Over the past few weeks, the book Daybreak has been introduced to students at Bairstow West Primary School. It's formed the backbone of some curriculum, the backbone of truth-telling at an appropriate level for primary-aged kids. And it's initiated many questions and conversations, particularly around the idea of celebration versus commemoration. Our next special guest is now a familiar face around Bairstow West Primary School's community. We often seek her counsel and expertise in the area of Gunai Kurnai culture, and we're always pleased when she comes to visit. Please welcome Gunai, Monero and Garigo woman, Dr. Doris Payton.
Womaninji, really nice to see so many people in the room. Wasn't sure whether we were doing it like last year when we just did it and went online, because we couldn't do it that way. First of all, I want to say how proud I am of this school. Our family was one of the first Aboriginal families to come into Bairstow, into O'Brien Street. And Mum and Dad brought us to this school when I was in grade 5. So I spent a lot of time at this school and I planted one of the trees, one of the gum trees, on the other side of the road there. So this school holds a special place for me. And I was very proud to come in and help with Dottie and help the school with their journey in curriculum and in enabling the students, the school community to understand and learn a bit more about us as a mob. So first I want to acknowledge that we're gathered on Brabalong land of the Gunai Kurnai and we're here to share this event today. I want to honour our ancestors and pay our respect to our Bundle Budeen and our Bundle Burka for their knowledge and their story. I want to reflect a bit today on the language journey we've been taking at the school through the curriculum. And I want to do this through my own experience and also to reflect on how we're doing this at the school. Whilst my mother's father and my father's mother are both Gunai, my mother's mother was Monero and Garigo. My mother, my grandmother, aunties and uncles all lived in Gippsland and spoke to us mostly in Monero and Garigo language. As a child and now as an adult, it's normal in our family, between our uncles and aunties, cousins and grandparents, to talk about Mirigams, Binjalungs, Damli, Bunga, Dugam, Nyali, Tidders, Nyabi, Najam, Grandis, Orabals, Wajamans, Jungans, and being Wangan or to be Yunalakan, Gwynmul and Gwynmulga. But much more because our language is part of our everyday life when we talk about things. So in Australia, there are over 250 Aboriginal languages that were spoken fluently. Many are no longer spoken, as some of the children have reflected on. And the loss of our language is the direct result of colonisation. In Victoria, we have approximately 39 different languages. Our people are the keepers of our language, our culture and our stories. Our languages have been recorded by many different people and spelt many different ways, but it's the language of our people and our country. So in our languages in Victoria are being revived and reclaimed across the state. And our culture is connected to our language and is called to reviving culture and our spiritual practices. Our grandmothers, aunties, uncles, cousins, and my mother in particular were keepers of their language and knowledge. They lived their cultural practices in their everyday life. And at Benstowe West, we have started this journey together, a journey of connection for our students in their school community. We work together to reshape the curriculum and learning about places, stories, people and knowledge. Learning words of their own language has been important in this journey. To do this with the school and within the curriculum guidelines and growth goals, we decided that the upper school career students would form a leadership group. A group of students very proud of their work within the school. That they would lead part of this journey. The leadership group would lead learnings and language in the curriculum across the school. This group worked under my guidance and through workshops to be little language teachers, working closely with all the schools. Several workshops were undertaken, and with support from their parents and carers, the little language teachers assist within the school and in the classroom. So over the past 2 years, learning language workshops was done mostly through activities, and as we've heard already, added to songs in the school choir. This year we will look across the year levels to form a leadership group of students in language so that we have a sustainable model across the school. To keep increasing language into areas of the curriculum and school activities, we will include parents and the school community. We will work with the leadership group to be confident to do welcomes, to sing in the choir, to visit places, and to learn about historical and cultural places. And as you've already heard, Munga Wot Wot Dala Dala, Verna Wot Wot Pareo Pareo. From little things, big things grow, and we will keep looking forward to continue the growth of language and knowledge through the curriculum and sharing with the school community. Kinita.
I think that the momentum is kept by keeping it on the agenda. It's not something that you can just bring up once a year and we celebrate it and we move on. I think that it has to be brought up every day of the week. It has to be embedded in our practice all the time, about that it's a slow change for people to come to terms with what they now need to know, and it doesn't happen overnight, but knowing that it will eventually happen if we keep the momentum there. It's just constant pressure all the time.
So probably the key thing is spreading that message and making sure that we do challenge people.
Like we talked about in our PD days, like the footy clubs, I reckon.
Yeah.
Like that's a big thing. I reckon they should, the stuff that we learn at school, they should learn it.
Even like listening to Auntie Dottie speak, like not last year, we were talking about this morning, listening to her speak, like it actually makes you feel something. Like, and they, like you can go home and tell your parents and you go home and tell your friends, oh, like this happened today, it was really interesting, but they're not going to care. They're, oh yeah, cool, like that's what happened at their day. But if they actually come and listen,
then they can't feel like the emotions. Like when you're telling it, it's not your own story, you're telling someone else's story.
I don't think much we can do keep doing our good work in schools and drive action, but it's got to be a whole Australia thing.
So it's reaching out to the extended audience to continue them to getting involved and knowing the real history of Australia, and to continue to ask those questions, especially the harder ones that some people are afraid to ask, to continue to learn, and then to try encourage other people around sporting clubs and extended friends and stuff like that, to encourage them to actually go in and start asking questions about it and looking into depth about it.
And so actually what we should be doing is being completely passionate about these issues. We should be involved in days like Reconciliation Day. We should be coming to these moments and actually going, I want to learn. I want to better comprehend where we've come from and where we're going from here. It should be a passion of ours and it should be a heart of ours. And so my little part that I play, I suppose, in my own community is to challenge that, is to put it out there, is to call people up when they say things like that. And just kind of counteract those comments and go, where's that coming from? Cool.
There's a lot of conservative people around that need to be picked up and dragged along. So it is just taking action at every opportunity you have. Until other people say our core business is the children, and we're developing kids, students, we're developing young adults, it's going to be hard, but people are the key. So we get the people right, and we work with, we focus on developing kids, and the schools believe in that, we'll be right.
Just on behalf of our staff and school community, I just want to thank Doris for her ongoing Gunai Kurnai culture and language. Thank you very much for your support there, Doris. To conclude today's assembly, I'd like to introduce Megan Liston, who guides our school in the space of reconciliation and cultural understanding. This year she facilitated the interviews that you've seen today. I'd like to welcome her to speak about her reflections on this process and what she found out from conducting these chats. Once you've heard from Megan, you'll also see a slideshow from some of our families who have contributed to that, and also our final song from the choir, which is I Am Australian. So welcome Megan Liston to the stage.
Wominji, it is my privilege to be speaking to you all today on the land of the Gunai Kurnai people. I would like to pay my respects to elders, past and present, and to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today. Reflection is a continuous and daily action here at Bairnsdale West. Recently, I was privileged to be given the time and trust from various members of the Bairnsdale West school community to help prompt and record their honest reflections on issues relating to reconciliation and allow them to be broadcast out into the wider community in the videos you've seen today. This process has prompted me to reflect on our school as part of a much larger system, and how our genuine efforts and commitment to truth-telling and building relationships has benefited many in our community, both young and old. For the past 200 years, the Australian school system has significantly contributed to the lingering ignorance, prejudice, trauma and injustices that have impacted the lives of many Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people across this country and still to this day. Schools have been places that have deliberately and actively promoted a whitewashed version of the history of this country, creating holes in our knowledge, our education and our collective consciousnesses. By minimising the pain and suffering inflicted on Indigenous people, schools have effectively ripped out the negative chapters in what would have been our country's history books, and at the same time, many of the positive chapters too, resulting in the knowledge of the oldest surviving continuous culture on earth not being understood, valued or learned by us all. By avoiding or silencing meaningful discussions with staff or students around racism and its root causes, or saying children don't see race, does not address or combat discrimination, or create a safe space for truth-telling, understanding, or building empathy in our communities. Instead, these actions, or lack of, have created ignorance in generations of non-Indigenous Australians, including teachers, resulting in deeply ingrained views that are resistant to change and created school environments that have not been one in which many Indigenous children and families have felt welcome, valued or successful in. This should not be allowed to continue for another day. Schools must stop shying away from their role and responsibilities in the promotion of a fair and cohesive society outside their walls, and instead do what is right for all. As a school, we here at Bairnsdale West display our commitment to working together to right these wrongs and support our community every day. Our reconciliation assemblies are a time to showcase our learning that has already occurred in the staff room and classrooms, to help promote the self-reflection in our guests that come along. They are certainly not a ticker box, tokenistic activity for any of us. Among the various items presented today, the process of recording the reflections was designed to help promote thinking, help us discover the major aha moments that have occurred for students and staff, and as a chance to take stock and drive future actions in our school and wider community. What should be evident to us all is when environments are created where staff have direct access, support and leadership, especially from our amazing and special guys, Aunty Dottie and Dr. Doris, and our Principal Doug Vickers. When staff are open to new learning despite a lack of knowledge, are excited to continue to learn on country, are passionate about learning culture and language, are happy to learn alongside students, are forging everlasting relationships with our Kuruli families and community, and are empowered to notice and call out racism, then that is why our kids in our school and our community continues to thrive. From our wonderfully intelligent and empathetic student reflections, it is evident that our students have been able to have meaningful discussions around the real history of this country, about racism and the importance of respecting Indigenous cultures. Our students crave real information and are keen to build understandings around difference and love to hear when things wrong have been made right. Students of all ages can easily decide what is fair or wrong and can articulate past injustices and the impacts of colonisation more effectively than many adults. We know we're on the right path. Students display a genuine curiosity and respect for cultural diversity, and to hear firsthand our Koori students pride in themselves and pride in their culture, and many of our students express their joy in learning the Gunarkono language and culture, was heartwarming and speaks to the respectful environments our teachers and staff have created. In closing, when schools are guided and encouraged to facilitate meaningful discussions around real history, around racism and its root causes, They can develop empathetic communities and a space for Indigenous people to feel safe and their culture learned and respected by all. We all benefit. We know our kids are our future, and it is up to the teachers and adults around them to take responsibility to help them thrive to become the leaders our community and our country needs for many generations to come. Thank you.
From little things, big things grow. 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 We are one, but we are many. And from all the lands on earth we come. We'll share our dreams and sing with one voice. Nadu, Nindi, Australian Waru. I came from the dream times, from the dusty red soil plains. I am the ancient heart, the keeper of the flames. I stood upon the rocky shores, I watched the tall ships come. For 60,000 years I've been the first Australian. I came upon the prison ships, bound down by iron chains. I cleared the land, enjoyed the lash, and waited for the rains. I'm Stella, I'm a farmer's wife, on a dry and barren run.
effort today. Give them another round of applause, guys. They've done a great job. Just finally, today, we're very close to finishing. I just want to thank all our guest speakers, choir, of course, the Gurnai group here at the school that organised today, led by Megan. Well done on producing such a fantastic assembly. We should give them a clap. Thank you. While we're clapping as well, we do need to thank the people that contributed to the videos today, the people that were in the videos, including students, staff, parents, families. Well done to everyone that contributed there. As I mentioned at the start, this assembly will be shared on Facebook on Friday, so if people can share the video, that would be excellent. The more viewers that we have, the better for everyone. We get to share more of the stories that were told today, so if that can be shared, it would be much appreciated. Finally today, for our guests, if you guys want to hang around and have something to eat, that would be really good. For students, well done today, well done sitting through that and listening so well. You guys get to go back to your rooms and have a bit of a treat as well. So well done to you guys, and finally thanks to everyone for being here today. Well done.